Hi, I'm Silver, and I don't care what anyone says, I'm going to drink out of my RV. People from all walks of life, from camper trailers to the most budget Class C to the most luxurious Class A, will all tell you do not drink out of your RV's tank. They will also tell you do not drink out of your RV system if you're hooked up to shore water. Today I'm going to bring you along as I clean and sanitize our freshwater tank, all of our water lines, and as I clean the water heater. Because this RV has been sitting for several months out of use, we need to make sure that everything is clean and sanitized so that when we take it out we can continue drinking through our water system without getting sick or it tasting bad. So the first thing that we need to do is put the water heater on bypass so that none of the water from the tank is getting into the water heater, and so that we can fill up the water heater on its own without that getting into the rest of the system. I am going to try to show you what our water heater bypass situation looks like. If you're not really comfortable understanding how plumbing works or kind of mapping the water flow through your pipes, you might want to double check your own owner's manual for this one just to be sure that you're bypassing correctly. I'm going to show you how ours works, and hopefully that'll be helpful to you even if your system isn't exactly the same. This is the panel that hides our water heater. It is underneath our wardrobe. Yours may be in a different place, but what we're looking at here is red is hot water coming out of the water heater, blue is cold water going into the water heater. In our system, if you track the blue and red piping down far enough, you get to a joint with a toggle switch. The toggle switch is connected to a white flexible hose. If you follow this flexible hose end to end, you'll find that the other end connects to the red pipe as the water's coming out of the heater. Now, if we look at this system as a whole, we realize that if we turn the blue toggle, it will prevent cold water from going into the heater. It will force the water through the bypass hose, which is this white flexible hose. And if we've turned this toggle switch, it will prevent water from coming back into the water heater. Instead, it will push the bypassed water through the hot hose onto the rest of the water system. Most of the tutorial videos that I've seen on YouTube show the bypass as a solid piece of PEX tubing. Ours is the only one I've seen so far that has this flexible hose that bypasses, and I have to say, with what I know with Thor, there is a decent possibility that that's the part they had in stock. It worked, so they shoved it in. You might have the very same make and model of RV and have a smaller hose, a longer hose, a standard piece of PEX tubing. I really wouldn't put it past Thor. But that being said, it does exactly what it's supposed to do, so no harm, no foul. So now that I've shown you what's happening down there, I'm going to squirrel back there. I'm going to toggle both of those switches, which will effectively bypass the hot water heater, and then we'll get to work with actually sanitizing the tank. Hello! Come here! Come here! Hi! Are you going for a walk? Alright, maybe this time the faucet won't break out of the house. Now that we've got our hose situation squared away, I'm going to take a cup of bleach. I'm going to pour it into the hose itself. I'm going to seat the hose in the freshwater tank. Then I'm going to turn on the faucet. So I have bleach, I have a measuring cup and a funnel. We're going to do a cup of bleach water for our almost 50-gallon tank. We're looking for 50 parts per million bleach to water. So it's my understanding that if you go much higher than that, the bleach, which is caustic, is going to be rough on your rubber fittings that are inside your hoses in your water system. So we don't want to exceed that. We want to use 50 parts per million and then let it sit for at least 8 hours. I'm going to leave it overnight. Probably should have waited for Derek's help with this, but I'm here. Bottoms up. Well, that got all over my hand and arm. Oopsie whoopsie. Okay, so the funnel system isn't working so good. I'm gonna get this shoved in here. I'm gonna go rinse myself off and then we'll cut the water on.
1 minute later.
Okay, so it mostly stayed. The bleach made it in. Maybe if you have a partner that could help you with this, it's probably a 2-person job. If you don't, you can do it by yourself. You might get bleach all over yourself and spill an unknown amount of it, but it's probably fine. Now we're gonna go into the RV. We're gonna monitor the water tank from in there, make sure that it gets all the way filled up before we cut it off, and then that just gets to hang out overnight. Also, while that fills up, I'm going to crank the generator. It hasn't run in at least a month or so. So I'm gonna crank the generator, let it run for at least 5-10 minutes, and then get the truck cranked too if I have time. I ran each of the faucets to make sure that the sanitizing water mixture got all the way through the lines. I'm also going to take this opportunity while the tank fills up to do some poking around the RV, look at the water lines, look at under benches, make sure we don't have any evidence of rodent pests, damage, water leaks, anything like that. Kind of just sanity check the whole system. The generator booted up on I think the 3rd try, which isn't too bad considering it's been setting. But again, that's why it's so important to stay on top of your systems. Make sure that you're running them regularly. If we hadn't run it all summer, I guarantee it would have been a pain, and we might have even had to take it in for maintenance, which is money we don't have right now. So take care of your systems, keep an eye on things, and do your preventative maintenance. You do not put bleach into your water heater. The problem with the water heater is not sanitizing, it is a buildup. And instead of trying to use a water pick or something like that, we are going to fill it up with vinegar and let that set overnight to break down everything for us, and it'll just rinse right out. I feel like that was easier than it should have been. And if we've done this correctly, it will chug out of the water heater, and since the water heater's on bypass, it won't keep filling up. I need to go get the hose and fittings that I need for this job. Plan with the water heater is I have a 3-foot hose. There's a joke there. I have a 3-foot hose. On one end I have
absolutely
wrong.
Proved.
On the other end I have a 3/4 inch to 3/4 inch garden hose threaded GHT shutoff valve. We're going to put this is wrong. Balls. Let's go check the garage. I ordered the wrong thing. I ordered the correct size, but I ordered the male part instead of the female part, which makes a difference sometimes. There's another joke there. Anyway, cut to 2 days from now. All right, it is the next day. I decided instead of waiting for a part to be delivered, I would bring my happy little butt across town to the Ace Hardware, hopefully find the part that I need so that we can get this project finished today. Alrighty, our bleach sanitizing solution has been sitting in the freshwater potable tank for over 12 hours now. It is ready to be drained. Now there are two ways that we can drain this tank. There is a flush valve that pops out the bottom that will just dump the tank, which is the fastest way to do this. But you don't want to dump your bleach water solution just on the ground into the soil. The fastest way to handle this is to take your sewer hose, hold it under the spigot, which you don't want it to touch anything. We've just sanitized the whole thing. We don't want to introduce any possible germs or bacteria from our sewage hose into our freshwater tank. So what you'd want to do is you would want to hold it with an air gap and let the water flush directly into it and then into your sewer outlet. But that option requires two people. It requires one person to hold the sewer hose and another person to pull the drain valve when everybody's ready. The other option can be done with one person. It's a little bit more time consuming, but it also gives you the benefit of having that sanitizing solution run through your pipes more and run into your gray tank. Now, for this solution, all you have to do is open up all your faucets and let everything drain into the gray tank. It is going to take a while, and you do need to make sure that your gray tank is at least as big as your freshwater tank. Otherwise, you'll need to stop and drain halfway through. Because my partner Derek works full-time, he is busy during the day, and I don't want to let this solution sit until he's finished with work for the day. So I'm going to open up all of the faucets, let the water drain through into the gray tank, and we'll deal with it that way. If you are using this method, you do want to keep a really close eye on the freshwater tank level. You do not want your water pump to keep pulling through after your tank is emptied. So make sure if you're doing this, you're still out with your RV. You don't just let it run, go away, come back later to a burnt out water pump. So this is a 3-foot hose. On this side, we have 3/4 inch garden hose thread shutoff valve. On this end, we have a 3/4 inch male garden hose thread, 1/2 inch female NPT. I also need to show you what Derek taught me about this water panel. So here we have, why are there spiders everywhere? Here we have the plug that I showed you yesterday that all the water comes out. Here we have a pressure relief valve, and if this pressure relief valve is toggled, it lets everything drain out much easier. So we're gonna leave the pressure relief valve toggled open. We're going to take off the cap, and you can see that it's completely drained out because nothing else came out. Now for the fun part, we're going to connect our 1/2 inch NTP to the plug. We're going to connect our 3-foot hose to that. Now we are going to use gravity to pour vinegar into this hose, which will, as long as we hold the hose high enough, it will feed it into the tank. I'm hoping that I'm tall enough to do this without a step ladder, but if we need one, we'll go get one. You need a funnel. I think this would be quite a bit easier with 2 people. Or a better funnel. Nope. That's how gravity works. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I'm decanting from the gallon into the smaller jug and then pouring from that because I have weak little baby arms. I need to go check the tanks. So you remember when I was like, hey, don't let the water run from the freshwater tank because you don't want to burn out your water pump or overflow your gray tank? I caught it just in time. The gray tank was seconds away from overflowing, but that's okay. It was bubbling up out of the bathroom sink faucet, but no damage was done. No water got places that water wasn't supposed to be. It's a very good thing I was right next to the RV and heard the gurgling in the tank. Do as I say, not as I do. Learn from my mistakes. Oopsies. Also, if your water tank does not have a plug but instead has a rod, you're going to want to use a different method to get your vinegar in. I will link the Todd's 2-minute tech tip that I used to take instructions so that I could do this, and it has instructions for if you have a rod. So much vinegar all over me. We're at least halfway done. It's, I think, around a 2-gallon tank.
Absolutely.
Wrong.
Proved.
Okay, we gotta be getting close to full.
Absolutely.
Wrong.
Proved.
Man, Todd walked me through this in 2 minutes, and I was like, yeah, this is a really simple process. I can definitely do this. But Jesus Christ, just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy, eh? Anyway, the whole point of us doing this is for calcium buildups in the hot water tank. Basically, when water runs through the ground, it picks up calcium from the soil, from other rocks. It just leaches calcium out of everything. Any water from groundwater source is very heavy in calcium. In fact, if it's over a certain amount, that's what we call hard water. And the calcium doesn't hurt you, it's not harmful, it's fine, but it builds up on tanks and the like. And if you get a calcium buildup in the tank, then it leaches out into your hot water, and you always have very, very hard hot water, which is not great for your hair, your skin, for cleaning dishes. It leaves residue buildup, rings in your toilet, stuff like that. And it makes it cloudy, gives it a kind of funky taste. So we don't want that. Okay. So lesson number, I don't know, a million is know your equipment. Know how big your tank is. Why did I think we had a 2-gallon tank? We have a 6-gallon tank. I'm gonna proceed with what I have. I think I have another like household gallon of vinegar in the pantry. That'll get us up to 4 and some change. I'll top the rest of the way off with water and make sure that next time I do this, I am fully prepared. Hot water tank is as full as I think it's possibly going to get. And the final piece of this puzzle is the shut-off valve that we have on the end of this 3-foot hose. This allows us to just toggle it off, drop the hose, and leave it all day. Now that we have got our hot water tank full of vinegar with a little bit of water to top it off, we're gonna go back to the freshwater tank. We need to flush our gray tank. We need to fill our freshwater tank back up, run it out, flush it again. Video on how we dump sewer, comment below. There's lots of them out there, but I'll make one. Forgot that Derek installed an extra gate valve. Damn it, damn it, damn it. So what did I learn today? 1, maybe I shouldn't offer to make videos about things that Derek normally does. 2, waste pipes get really heavy when they're full of liquid, which means they need to be adequately supported. Glad we learned that lesson with bleach water and not the alternative. Okay. Gray tank's empty. I'm going to fill up the fresh water tank again, let it all run out again, empty it again. We'll be good to go. So what's happening now is we're filling up the freshwater potable tank again. What that is going to do is it's going to dilute any remaining bleach to a very safe level, something that if we drink, consume, wash with it, cook with it, it won't hurt us at all. So we're filling it all the way full one more time. We're going to run that all the way through the lines back to the gray tank. We're going to empty that out, and then we're going to be totally done sanitizing our freshwater tank.
A few moments later.
The gray tank is emptying into the sewer. I'm also going to go ahead and pull the manual release on our fresh water tank. This is just to make sure that any last bit of water that's in there will be released without the pump having to strain against it as it trickles through the end. So if you look at your water tank, there should be one big pull valve. And that's going to let the last bit of water drain out. This water should barely have any bleach at all in it, so the last bit of it draining into our yard isn't a problem.
Day 3.
This was not supposed to be a 3-day project. This was supposed to be a 1-day project, and then the next day you just come and rinse everything out. When I watched Todd's 2-minute tech tip about how to do this, there was one for sanitizing the water tank and one for cleaning the hot water tank. So 4 minutes of tech tips made me think that this would not be hours and hours of labor. There is a reason that lots of folks pay to have this done. Some of us have more time than money. This is a good time to point out, if you haven't purchased an RV yet, you're watching this video to get a feel for how much work goes into RVing. If you do it right, if you maintain your systems, if you take care of your rig, it's kind of a lot of work. It's kind of a lot of hours. You can always pay someone else to do the work for you. That's always an option if you do have the money for it. But if you're trying to scrimp and save and use all of the cash that you have to go play instead of pay someone to maintain your rig, be prepared to spend some time. Some of this stuff, even if everything had gone perfectly with this project, it still would have been a 2-day project because it needed to set overnight. So make sure that if you're going the DIY route, you're ready to commit to upkeeping this investment. Also, your health is an investment. Yes, you have the option to just not use your water system to drink or cook or brush your teeth, but if you want the convenience of having water like you would in your home, you need to be ready to take care of your systems so that you don't get sick. Because the last thing you want in an RV is to be ill. Rant over, get to work. So right now our tank is full of vinegar. If you have your RV parked on grass or a lawn that you don't want to damage, you need to flush your vinegar into your sewage drain. We have it in the yard, and I'm going to aim the vinegar to go under the RV where the grass is already dead anyway, because this is kind of a permanent parking solution. Vinegar will damage grass and plants, and it may leach into nearby grass and plants. So if you have a flower bed right next to your RV, you're not going to want to dump your vinegar straight into the ground. That being said, from an environmental perspective, it's not a chemical that's going to be harmful in the soil. It's just going to kill some plants. Y'all know the Samuel Jackson quote about snakes on a plane? That's how I feel about spiders on this RV. I'm over it. Alright, so at this point I am going to toggle our valve. I'm going to dump it under the RV and let it drain. Hopefully I'll be able to get some shots and you can see if this is cloudy from picking up calcium, or it'll show us if the tank was still relatively clean and not a lot dissolved into the vinegar. So the vinegar coming out didn't appear to be super cloudy. We've had this RV for just under a year and a half. The prior owner bought it new and had it for a year, but they only put about 3,000 miles on it, and they traveled with 6 people. I think that they generally used the bathhouses and the facilities where they camped. So with just the 2 of us in it for a year and a half, over that time we probably spent about 6 months tops actually traveling in it. It kind of checks that we don't have a whole lot of buildup yet, but that doesn't mean that we don't need to maintain, because if we keep ahead of the problem, it's going to make cleaning it every year a lot easier. So I've got the adapter off of this 3-foot hose. I'm going to put the adapter back on. We're going to put the freshwater hose up to it, fill it up, dump it out, fill it up, dump it out, done. Go away! So you can see why I decided to go for RVing instead of primitive camping or like backpacking, because I love the idea of the outdoors, but I don't do bugs. So this is a double-sided female adapter, which will take this male end and connect it to the hose male end. Now I'm gonna go cut the water on, fill the tank up, cut the water off, empty the tank out. Bye bye bye. I also want to note here that the house spigot I'm connected to does have an anti-siphon valve on it, which means that if this starts pushing back through the hose towards the house, it won't actually get into the water system. It stops at that spigot. Okay, we're gonna do that one more time and then that's a wrap. Overflow valve. Okay, so we learned 1, wear your waterproof hiking boots instead of your very breathable tennis shoes when you do this. 2, our water heater, our pressure relief valve also has an overflow valve. So if you overfill the water in your tank and you have that valve open, it will just come out the top, which is not a bad thing. We want to flush the whole thing, so that was kind of a happy little accident. I'm going to get in here with a toothbrush, and there is some buildup on the bottom of the overflow valve. I'm just going to kind of knock around all of the dust, debris, and any sort of buildup I see, since we've got this water here anyway. And maybe that'll dissuade the spiders. So I think it is worth noting here that these are electrical wires and there are electrical panels hooked up to this. Eyeball these wires, make sure that nothing looks damaged, make sure that all of the plastic coating sheaths are in place and intact before you do this. There is a box that says disconnect power supply before removing access cover. This is a waterproof box, so we don't need to worry about this, but give it an eyeball, make sure the seal looks like it's still intact before you start spurting water all through this panel. Also, in the description, I will put every single one of these connectors that I used, the hose that I used, the shutoff valve that I used. I'll add links to everything and make sure that it's very clear that this is what worked for my rig, and if there's something that might be different for you, I'll try to make a note of it. Also going to take this opportunity to run the truck while I'm out here. I have uncovered the exhaust. Make sure if you run your truck with a cover on it, you get your exhausts clear before you do that. Okay, so that has been this round of RV maintenance. Hopefully this helps give you an idea of what level of maintenance is required to keep your RV in tip-top shape, working order. I know that some of you are never going to be convinced that it's okay to drink out of your water systems, and that's okay. You do you. But if this has helped you in any way, even if you don't want to drink out of your water system, it's still good to keep it as sanitary as possible. If you don't have an RV yet and you're trying to figure out how much work goes into one, hopefully this has been helpful to you, because boy, it has been 3 days. I am sunburnt, I am tired, I am ready for this to be over, but RV maintenance is never ending. RVs can come with so much joy and adventure, and I've had such a great time traveling in ours, but if you're going to make an investment in one, you need to know that it's not just all Grand Canyon and Crater Lake. If this has been helpful to you, please consider liking the video. Leave me a comment, tell me if you learned something, tell me if you do things differently, or if you have any advice for me. I am 1.5 years into this. I do not know everything yet, but hopefully I know enough to be helpful to someone. If you'd like to consider subscribing to the channel, that would be great. I do a mixture of RV maintenance, things that will hopefully help new and potential RV owners have a better idea of what their RV needs from them. I do also post travel vlogs. When it's not oppressively hot, we do actually take the RV out and adventure in it. We go to a variety of places, try to do a variety of things, and in those videos you'll also see more of my beautiful dogs. So if you want to hang around, hit that subscribe button. Please keep coming back to videos. If there's anything specific that you want to see, let me know. Either way, I hope this video has been helpful to you. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of it, and I'll see you on our next adventure. I hate spiders.